It's it's a little past 6:30. Welcome to our March 3rd Select Board meeting. Present, we have Lloyd, Mary Ann, and Hazel on Zoom, so we'll be taking voice votes. Hopefully Tom will come in a little bit. We have a quorum. Tonight, we're going to start with an executive session and then pick up the regular program with the Pledge of Allegiance after that. That having been said, I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
Move we enter the executive session pursuant to personal matters, 1 MRSA, section 4056A.
Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion?
I will let you know.
Okay, we'll go for a voice vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes, Mary Ann
Lloyd?
says.
Yes.
Henry says yes. Motion carries 4-0. We are in executive session. Okay, ready to, anybody want to make a motion to leave executive session?
Move we leave executive session, personal matters, 1 MRSA, section 4056A.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, let's call for a vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Mary Ann, yes.
Floyd?
Yep.
Henry says yes. Motion passes 5-0. We are out of executive session. The only one here is Doug. Do you want to wait a few minutes and see if anybody else shows up, or do you want to proceed with Pledge of Allegiance and go on down our
Let's proceed.
Let's kick it off.
okay. We're picking up our agenda with the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is in the back. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anyone have any additional business not on the published agenda that they would like for us to consider tonight?
Not. No.
Okay, there being none, does anyone have any conflicts with business on the agenda tonight?
No.
No, there are no conflicts? Okay,
No.
let's consider approving the meeting minutes from our February 17th meeting. Have you all had a chance to look at those?
Just move we approve minutes from February 17th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Is there a typo? Hold on. Was there a typo? Around the, I gotta find it now. Wow. In item FF, on page 2, new business, item F. It says something, resolve concerns with the commingled HL Lad. Is that correct, that name?
Yes.
No, yeah, it's.
I mean, it's Helen Ladd, but is the L correct?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's, no, actually, it's the bank account, I think, is titled H&G Lad.
Oh.
The fund has been called various things.
But the bank account is HG.
I think the bank account is HG Lad.
All right, I'll make that.
Okay. Thank you, Hazel. Anything else?
Not for me.
Okay.
And seconded.
We ready to vote? Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Mary Ann, yes.
Lloyd?
Yep.
Henry says yes. Motion carries 5-0. Warrants and donations. Is there a motion on payroll number 32?
Move to approve payroll number 32 in the amount of $13,419.50.
Second.
Anything special on that, Shannon?
There is not.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, let's vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Mary Ann, yes.
Lloyd? Yep. Henry says yes. Motion passes 5-0. The accounts payable warrant, what can you tell us about that one, Shannon?
So there's one typo as far as vendor. You'll see under CEO salaries, it goes to the Reedfield Fire Department. That should have been the town of Reedfield, so that will be adjusted.
I was wondering about that. Thank you.
Right, so that will be adjusted. And then the second half of the fiscal year 25-26 appropriation for the cemetery. That was included in this, as well as $12,625 in other appropriations for fiscal year 25-26. The only remaining appropriations are for the library, the other half of the messenger, and the yacht club.
And what, do we wait until they ask, or what is that?
So for some of the local ones, I have waited. For example, like the messenger or the cemetery, they put in requests for half at a time. But now, since these are outside agencies and we have approved them, they typically tend to receive them around like the end of the calendar year or the beginning of the new calendar year. So we're just trying to get all of those completed now as we receive the new incoming requests for fiscal year 26-7.
Okay. Is there a motion on the accounts payable number 33?
I move we approve accounts payable number 33 in the amount of $303,233.89.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Mary Ann, yes.
Lloyd?
Yep.
Henry says yes, the motion passes 5-0. Donation to supplement the existing appropriation for the Lad Rec Center. You want to tell us about that one, Shannon?
So this includes a donation from the Lad Charitable Corporation in addition to the other daycare funds that they typically receive, which amounts to the $21,478.
Move we accept donations in the amount of $21,478.44 to supplement existing appropriation for Lad Rec Center programs.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, let's vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Mary Ann, yes.
Lloyd?
Yes.
Henry says yes, motion carries 5-0. Before we move on with old business, I think we've got an update from Doug. Let's hear it so he can stay if he wants to, or go if he wants to.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me come back. I said I'd only come when I had news, so I've got news. First of all, this is the report about the Amoskegon Lake algal bloom mitigation project. We come by a bunch of different names, but it's been a very active time for us. We have a steering committee we've talked about before, representing the towns, lake users, lake owners, the community at large, and so forth. So that committee's been meeting. It'll meet again on the 15th. The principal issue that we've decided we met last week on was to approve the engagement of a consultant to actually conduct the rest of the environmental research that needs to be done on the lake this summer. A company called Environmental Instincts, and it's a big step forward for us. It's a good, very preeminent company in Maine to look at that. There'll be a second. I have no request, by the way, for anything tonight. So the second part of that will be some kind of engineering analysis. They'll be hired to do the intersection of the lake and the Dead River and Amoskegon River issues. They were studied extensively back in the early part of this century. And we need to refresh all that information and find out what's going on. Because what we want to know is, before we do any work on solutions, is to figure out what the problem really is. And we're not going to run off and do all kinds of solutions without trying to get them in one package. Anyway, the big news is that we applied for a $25,000 grant from the state, which we have a pretty good chance of getting. We did receive funds from the ALEC, which has had something called the Healthy Lake Fund. And the board voted to take some of that money, $25,000, and apply it to this project, which is a big kick, because now we're starting to do some independent fundraising and the grants and requests of the towns. And those all need an exhibition of support from the people in the community before we start. So this is a big step. As I mentioned, the second grant will be coming up in May or so. We do have a project budget right now for the first phase. It's a little over $100,000, not counting the engineering studies for the Dead River, which will probably be significantly more, but that's coming next. And the field work will start as soon as, obviously, like, they can get on the lake. I thought maybe they should drill holes in the lake, but that's not. So the next big step is to populate. Remember, there's an overarching steering committee with the work groups, and we've got 4 work groups that we're populating with volunteers. I had it here to show you. There's a calendar card that looks like this, has a little QR code. You can click on it. It takes you to a page where you can, basically what I had last time is here, indicate what you'd like to do. There's 4 groups: science, fundraising, communications, and government. People are all gravitating, as you might think, toward science. Nobody wants to do fundraising and people don't like to talk. So science, we're trying to balance the people and what they're, we have to have another little group because in the science, there's obviously the hydrology and what's actually causing it, what are the chemistry and all that stuff. So there's a lot of interest in science, which is good. Because the point of all this is to engage as many people as we can in understanding what the problem is and then in accepting and recommending a solution. And so we have groups we'll be working on ordinance design, obviously fundraising, science, the intersection of the river issues, all the tributaries, what comes from other places and what actually releases the stuff that creates, I'll call it stuff, that creates the bloom to start with. We've had 4 blooms in the last 5 years, 6 blooms in the last 50 years. So it's really intensified in the last few years, and we're hoping, I can't even speak about this, that this summer will be a calmer summer and we'll get through the summer without having another big problem, because I think we're gonna start facing people being very concerned about what's going on with the lake. So this is, we're right at the beginning of the curve, but we're very busy. And I would just close with that. We're looking for volunteers. We're actually, if you think of this as a science project, going back to high school science project, a little piece of the communication strategy is to actually start working with the schools and to create with the consultants a science project. So the kids can start to see what's, most people don't see the lake, actually. So if we get to see the kids being involved in what some of the science is, it's a real learning experience for the whole community to see how this works. I think we can have a lot of fun with it as well as being kind of stressed out.
Plus, you know, they could get a lot of work done that you need.
Huh?
They could get a lot of work done that needs to
Yeah.
get done.
Yeah, because we need
That's
to
a
go around and
great
sample the tributaries. I remember in school, we had an ecology class that went out and counted frogs.
Right.
So there's all kinds of ways that we can engage the community in something that is this important for the community. I'm just giving you an update. March 15th is the cutoff for volunteers. If you I'll give you some more stuff, Sienna, later, but this is a counter card we'll start putting out in the community for people to link to the place where they can volunteer to be part of one of these 4 groups. And the 4 groups are where the work's gonna get done.
Is there anything online where I could go and,
Yes, you can go, I wish I knew the website. You can, this QR code will take you to it. What, can I give you, in fact, I don't mind giving it to it. It's not,
Oh.
well. Okay, it's draft. Don't hash it
I
out.
won't,
Tomorrow it'll be
Just
released.
Take a picture of it. It'd take you right
I
to
can
it.
give it back to you, if you don't.
Anyway, so there is the
Seconds.
website we're using is part of 30 Mile River. If you go to 30 Mile River's website and click through to Androscoggin Lake, Algal Bloom page, there's an entire whole library of information out there.
So Doug, on the grant application, what entity is it that gets the money? Is it 30 Mile River?
30 Mile, yeah, 30 Mile. It will be 30 Mile. We're trying to focus all the people's finances toward 30 Mile. ALEC has its own fundraising and they're doing a fundraising letter right now, but that's all part of the same package and we just don't want to confuse people. But the principal facilitator of the project is 30 Mile. They have the resources, they have the talent, they have the
Thank you.
connections, and they have some of the access to money. We'd like to keep it that way.
The
Definitely.
funding is going through 30 Mile.
30 Mile, yeah.
And I do want to say that we did receive a request from 30 Mile in addition to their normal appropriation of 10,000, that we did receive an additional 15,000 specifically for the algal lake blooms. You'll get that, go over that with the outside agencies in your next meeting on March 17th.
And just to finish that thought, there is a similar request in Leeds, so this is a joint, I want to be very clear. This is a joint effort between Leeds and Wayne. This is not a Wayne problem, it's a Leeds and Wayne problem. It's going to take all the 2 communities to solve it, so.
You recently did a presentation in
We
Leeds?
did,
How'd that go?
excellent, 25 people there.
Great.
There was one in Wayne, there were 160 people.
Yeah, I was thinking,
And that was
that was
amazing.
good.
But that one was not broadcast, that was just people in the room, and they were very engaged, very
Good.
engaged. Yeah, it was good program.
Congratulations and thanks.
So we're trying to stay ahead of this now. We've got it rolling, got to keep moving. So run us over. Any questions? I won't be back until I have something more to say.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Thanks so much.
Wait.
Oh, Paige
Wait,
has a question.
Wait.
He's coming back.
So I do have a question because later on in the agenda, we're talking about an informal committee that's proposing septic ordinances for the town to consider, and it talks about the report talks about the impact on lakes, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got your committee, Doug, which has got it's four different groups that are working.
Groups.
One of which I heard was science, and I'm wondering how aligned is the science group and our informal committee, or are they even aware of each other?
Oh, we know about it. I'm sure that they're working together. I'm not actually on that committee, but I know that they're actually, the ordinance part of this would fall through the government subcommittee.
Right.
But it's very important to us to keep moving on all these fronts, but not to do anything on any of them until we see the whole package. I mean, for example, we'd like to know what proportion of the problem comes from septic. And what portion of the solution comes from dealing with septic. And I know that the problem is different during normal times versus when the Androscoggin River floods. It kind of wipes out everything else. So we want to make sure that all of this is presented at once as a solution set, an array of solutions, which then we can start to choose which one's affected. But, you know, things like ordinance take a long time to develop and to frame to actually solve a problem. And that particular ordinance, I don't know if I haven't seen it, but it may solve problems in other lakes as well as this one. So this is the one we're focused on, but
Ted Chuchis is involved in
Ted's involved.
your effort.
Yeah,
and so we're very well.
Yeah, so I know that they're coordinating. Just to answer your question, yes.
And Hazel, this is Ted. I can speak in more detail on that when we get to the septic ordinance and give you a status update there.
Yeah, that's fine. I know it's on the agenda later, but I just wanted before Doug left, since they've got their committee structure going in there's the other committee. I just wanted to make sure that our two committees, yours being the informal one, are aligned.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize Ted was on the phone. So Ted knows more about this than I do, and he can address it when the time comes. But the most important thing to me as the steering committee is to make sure that nobody runs out ahead of somebody else and then does something that we may have to try to backtrack on. So they're very well aligned at the moment, which is really, really good news.
Thanks.
This is your communication, that the email that went out, newsletter, whoever's putting that out, that was great. I
Yeah.
enjoyed reading that yesterday or today.
Yeah, okay.
So all good.
We'll keep doing it. Thank you.
Shit.
Any other questions before this?
I'd like to meet.
Is that called the owl? Okay, thanks.
Okay, moving on to old business. Update and discuss the Lad Special Fund, DBA Neighbors Helping Neighbors policy. That is currently residing at MMA Legal, and we're waiting on some feedback from that. And so we have nothing else to offer until that happens. At least I don't.
She did get back to me today. She did not have answers to that. She still needs some more time to review
Okay.
some of those questions that we sent her.
She understands my issues on the town never accepted engagements as a trustee.
She didn't have any specific answers for
No,
that.
but
it
I
was
mean,
an
as long
email.
as she understands that's
Yeah.
part of the question.
Yes.
So we're just gonna pass on that. There's nothing to discuss unless somebody else has something they would like to bring up.
Nope,
Anybody
just as long as you
moving on?
don't drop it down.
Okay.
You have a comment?
Moving on to new business. There's a town manager request to apply for an intern with the Margaret Chase Smith Policy Center. The floor is yours, Shannon.
So the Maine Municipal Association offers a $4,300 grant to support an intern through the Margaret Chase Smith Policy Center in the University of Maine system. They receive hundreds of applications each year, but only a limited number of internships are available. And so calculating that out, it's usually about $17 an hour. And so looking at what I presented and sent to the select board just to kind of review, that would look at about 384 hours in a week, working a normal work week, 4 days a week, for 8 hours a day. And then there would be a slight school administration fee. So totaling, that would come out to about $6,828. If we are able to get the MMA grant, and I have reached out to MMA, their education representative, they said that what I had drafted for a capital planner position is what I'd be looking at. That it would be a very strong grant application and worth putting in there. And I did speak with the representative at the Mary Chase Policy Center. And she also said that it would be a very strong candidate for a grant.
Congratulations.
And so the way I outlined it was just an overview, requesting for the certain money from the MMA. And then just kind of outlining what our community context is. And then for the statement of work, I broke it down with a timeline for those 12 weeks, expecting to receive an intern around the end of May and going until mid-August. And so with that, I put it down as the first week would basically be onboarding. And then what I was hoping that they could do would be taking all of those documents that we have that need to be digitized. And so all of our annual reports, all of our minutes, and scanning them and then putting them onto our website or onto some kind of system that they can then organize. And so breaking that down into the first week and then the second week, and then in like the third week, going through all of those documents and identifying certain legal establishment of roads or discontinuation of roads or season closures, and then providing an outline. So I outlined some deliverables to include an outline of road establishment and those things. And then we also have an inventory list for our audits. And so those haven't been updated in years. And so right now, Lynn has been working with our fire chief to update the fire departments. However, that's only one department. We have a whole lot of different departments. And so I would be asking them to mostly focusing on roads, and that's where the capital planning comes in, because we have an infrastructure committee and we're trying to understand what our roads have had work done on them in the last 10 years. So taking our road inventory list, reviewing previous contracts to understand what has been done, and then updating that inventory list with the year, the cost, and useful life. So then we can project going forward what roads need more maintenance. And then reviewing those current service contracts that we provide in support of the roads, such as mowing, ditching, culverts, to then provide an annual timeline for road maintenance and a proposed 5-year plan, something we've been slowly working on, but could be facilitated through an intern. And then reviewing and revising a comprehensive plan as we are now starting to structure that together and taking the roads and putting that into the infrastructure chapter of the comprehensive plan. And so what the university likes to see is if you run out of tasks for these interns, do you have more work that you can present to them? And so my answer is yes. We have plenty of things to do. And so, I mean, that basically fills up the 12 weeks, and then they'd be presenting an overview to the infrastructure committee, an overview to the comprehensive planning committee. It would give them some face time with the select board, and they could also attend our annual town meeting, so they would get to understand what public administration looks like in a small town.
Be great.
And so I'm just requesting that the select board approve this. So I could take potentially some surplus from our general administration budget and apply it toward that. And hopefully minus the MMA grant would give an overlying amount of $2,528.
That's great.
And it's good. It seems to me that it's a good investment, at least to give it a try, with or without the grant. And you have surplus to cover it, even if we don't get the grant. Correct. So
That's
what do you need from us? Do you need a motion? And
So Hazel has a question first.
yes.
So I just, I think it looks very well written. It looks like a really good opportunity for somebody. It looks like it's really going to benefit the town. So I'm very supportive of this. The only thing I had a question on, Shannon, is, and maybe it's just the way I'm reading it, but it says it's right at the top in the second sentence. The primary goal of the internship is to develop long-term strategies, blah, blah, blah. So is the goal really to develop long-term strategies, or is the goal to do research to allow somebody else to develop long-term strategies?
I think they kind of go hand in hand. It definitely has a significant portion of researching. I think it would help facilitate development of strategies, as far as road maintenance and infrastructure plans.
So is it really to help develop, research and help develop? And I don't want to. It just kind of looks funny if you're looking for an intern, a capital planner intern to develop strategies. Seems like
Doesn't say the goal of the intern, it says the goal of the internship, but I guess we can clarify it, sure.
So I just say take a look and make sure that what you're proposing as the primary goal truly is like the primary goal.
Okay.
So are you saying something like, is to support development of long-term strategies? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Could work.
I'm trying to get we're not hiring a strategist. We're hiring an intern.
So they
Right.
did ask me to come up with a job description. So in the case that they go to apply for a job later on, they could apply some of the skills from this position into something like that. And so I felt that it most properly aligned with a capital planner on the infrastructure piece. But yes, there's a significant portion of research.
How is the town negatively affected by any of this wordsmithing?
Not much.
Yeah,
I'm-
and I'm not gonna like drag this out. To me it kind of it just looked it took my attention because I wanted to make sure that what we're saying
Development of long-term strategies.
Yeah.
What,
So I'll change that to help facilitate or enable development of long-term strategies. Does that make sense?
Whatever you want. I'm not going to wordsmith it. I just wanted to point it out and ask a question.
All in
Because-
all, I'm so pleased that we have this opportunity, that you've been given a heads up that it's a strong opportunity that we'll get it. Congratulations. And I'm so glad that we're doing this.
I think it'd be
Thank you.
fascinating to do a,
One item for the person. They do something extra, sugar plum, something. They can
perambulation.
find a copy of the building committee's report.
Okay. We'll have them go
I
through.
thought they were gonna get to perambulate. That's what I
No, no,
thought.
that-
That's what I thought we were going for.
Yeah.
Because you were too excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be good. The perambulating is gonna start soon now.
I know, I'm looking forward to it.
So,
Got my muck boots.
Me
you
too.
got to hit between the snow and the ticks.
that's right, that's right.
Okay.
I think it'd be fascinating.
Sorry, put me out.
to
I'm not
Your
gonna drag it.
initiative of-
You won't have to worry about anything.
I shouldn't say it this way, but a postmortem after this and find out if this individual now is excited about a potential career in this, or it's completely checked off the list of things. that he or
So
she
what will be
wanted
the
to-
background of the person that would get chosen for this internship?
And so some of the things that I did outline in the description when I was starting to prep the application was, so some of the skills, I mean, as far as, I can't even remember it right now, but meticulous detail and research ability. And then what kind of goes in with risk management and financial strategic analysis, or strategic financial analysis, to be able to project long-term effects of the capital assets or impacts on them.
Interesting, okay.
Something to do with ability to see the big picture and format the information
Yes.
in a way that's useful and not just lists of things.
So do you anticipate interviewing people?
So they actually have a panel through Maine Municipal Association and through the Margaret Chase Policy Center where they will sit down March 12th and start interviewing. And then we should hear back from them by the end of the month on acceptance or award of a grant, what potential interns they would choose. And then we have an opportunity if we wanted to talk with them on the phone. And I did bypass that. I said that it should be fine. I'll trust the judgment of what they're going off of, just for time's sake. And so, and then we'll get to meet them the end of May. So it would be May 26th would be when they would be joining us. And so I think that they would have a couple of meetings with the legislature, and then you would have a select board meeting the following week. So I would welcome them to come in or encourage them to come in and introduce themselves to you and explain what their goals are. And that's something that I would sit down and do with them, is develop a plan and go over what their goals are, both personally and professionally, and work with them as far as introducing them to the staff in the office, and then talking over those deliverables and those tasks.
See, we have incredible difficulty finding anything out, like when was White Road closed, if ever? What is the Ruth Lee Fund? I mean, we can't find
There's a lot
out
of
these things
historical-
because of our archaic system. Right now, since we can't find it, we might as well put a match to it all because it does us no good. If this person can come and scan things and we can put them in searchable form,
Yeah.
where we can maybe ask questions on an AI engine, it at least has the prospect of being very helpful to us
Well,
in finding things out that we need to know.
and we don't have really any institutional memory,
Yeah,
so this is great.
We might
And-
look
In any case, we'd need these.
up front,
yes. This
research
is
on
great.
how might
Yes,
we
I think
best
it's-
help
I think
this
it's a good-
individual move things from an analog state to a digital state, right? So if it's scanning,
Mhm.
but I have no idea what form a lot of these records are in, and but yeah, getting from analog to digital will be life changing.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Great
so
idea.
what,
I think we get the grant and we got a good intern.
Yeah.
Me too.
what do you need as far as select board action, if anything, from us?
At least a consensus, something that I could put on the record in the minutes to say
Yes.
that you've agreed to this
Yeah.
and that I can go ahead and submit that application.
Yes,
All right,
Yes,
Five zip.
okay.
Hazel says yes.
Tom says yeah.
Well, we just do a motion.
Sure, why not?
I'll make a motion that we approve the town manager to proceed with securing participation in this internship program.
second.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Oh, yes.
Mary Ann, yes.
Yep.
Henry says yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The review and discuss the proposed aging at home ordinance. I've distributed copies. It's been reviewed by the aging at home folks.
Mhm.
And they find it to be satisfactory. Did anybody have any questions about any of it?
Did you happen to see my email with my questions?
I did, and I think didn't Stan
And
answer
Stan
that?
got back to me and apparently it's just fine in their minds. My questions stand, but I am happy if you all are happy. And for I don't know, I must have copied everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's all.
I saw somewhere on an email or something, I saw a question on whether it's an aging at home committee or a board. I'm assuming it's a committee. We say committee, and if it's a board, we need to change the ordinance, but I think it's a committee.
I asked Deb just to confirm because, yes, everything online that I have says committee,
Committee,
but they refer to themselves as a board.
okay,
Including Stan.
come on there, committee.
Yes, right. Then he got back to me. Usually I try to.
So, any other,
Yeah, Hazel. So I just had a couple of points of clarification. There's a typo on line 1. I wasn't going to worry about that. Does aging at home actually provide food support? Like, what does that mean?
I don't think they do everything that that the committee put on here. These are just things that they might do. I don't know of any food support. Too bad. We need to have Stan or Deborah here to answer that question. Other than coffee and donuts, I don't know of any other food. I don't know of any
Right.
other food support. I don't know that aging at home is actually involved as a partner with the Winthrop Hot Meals activity or not. I'm assuming not, but I don't know that.
Not as far as I know. But it does say programs will change based on need and demand.
And
Examples of those programs and activities include. So perhaps they're just trying to cast a wide net.
Yeah, I was curious because I was like, oh, that's the first thing on the list, and I wasn't really familiar with that. And then Henry, from a process perspective, are we approving this ordinance as written, or what's your
I think what we should do is we should have we should have the ordinance sent to Phil, like tomorrow, by Shannon with a request to get any comments he has back to us, by our next meeting.
Yes, good idea.
And then on our next meeting, after we get his comments, we can see if we want to make any changes. And then we make a motion to recommend the ordinance be submitted at town meeting. And what has to happen is we certify a copy of it with a little certification and forward it to the town clerk to be included with the warrant.
Okay, so related to that, ask the lawyer then, is the severability section struck me a little bit. I don't know that that's consistent with any of our other ordinances. And I didn't know from the lawyers can advise us, I guess, on whether we, in this case, would need that severability. And then from a budget perspective, is April 1st too late to be receiving that budget request?
Okay,
Glad you caught that.
when do you want it, Shannon?
March 1st.
I mean, I was gonna say probably end of January is when we start putting together everything. We request January 31st from all outside agencies, for budget purposes. I mean, if it's a,
You want to get a
Oh, yeah.
report, what I had in mind here is basically
February.
an advertisement of what they've accomplished
Assuming that
to
they didn't,
support a
you know,
request.
unless there's a
for
heads up
funding from the
that
town.
something's gonna change.
And really, the only thing the town's been funding is the program coordinator salary.
Right.
Yeah. But I would say by the end of February, probably would be best.
And we dictate the salary pretty much. They wouldn't present that to you.
Right, but if we do have a programs portion in there for them to request in the town moving forward.
Well, it would be in the aging, there should be a warrant article on aging at home, and that's when we would,
Yeah.
that's where it should go. If you want February 1st, we can put February 1st.
You said
Can you make that
February,
change?
you said end of February, right?
Oh, end of February.
Oh,
Sometime.
Yes,
yes.
sir.
I would just point out, it may be also worthwhile that I would expect you would want to have an inclusion in the annual town report on this committee.
That's what goes in here, that this report is provided to support the report that we're getting. The last sentence says, this report is provided to support the program's budget request and to be included in the town's annual report.
So the timing of that, I would think,
I think it should be closer to the annual report to be comprehensive, and that's why I put it when I did, but
it's a trade-off. I
Yeah.
think, to comply with the budget committee's timeline, I think March 1st would be about as late as you want to go.
Right. So I would say by, February 1st or 15th.
but whatever
You know, whatever you think is best.
you are
Yep.
you are responsible for getting us a preliminary budget, so I suggest on line number 83.
Yep.
You revise April 1st to what you're pleased with, and then send it to Phil.
Okay. Yeah,
Is that okay?
yes. Eric, do you think February 15th or March 1st, being on the budget committee?
I think, as I said, we can live with March 1st.
Yeah.
If you get it earlier, that's better.
Well,
Yeah.
when,
It has a buy. I think March 1st would be,
I would
latest.
just suggest that nothing much would change.
Yeah.
So,
so March 1st would be, thank you.
and, I know you have a lot of stuff to do, but if we want to hear from Phil by the 17th, maybe you can send it to him tomorrow.
Yep, I made a note.
And,
Send Phil comments.
tell him, we want an answer by,
Yeah.
if possible. If he can't give us an answer by, let us know.
Okay. You want that by your next meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because we've got to get it, we need to get it to the town clerk.
Okay.
Review and discuss the proposed septic ordinance. This is the next item on our agenda.
Everybody have a chance to read it?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Excellent, excellent.
Ted, do any other towns in Maine have one like this?
Yeah, Henry, and hello, board. Nice to see you all. If I can just give sort of a brief status update, I can answer your question, Henry. So first thing is, I think the purpose of the discussion tonight is to just give the board a status update on this project. I think everybody's aware that for many years, the challenge of how to safely manage septic systems in the shoreland zones has been an issue of concern. And last year's very severe algal bloom on Androscoggin was really a catalyst to sort of reignite this effort. And so a group of us informally began working on this effort in late fall, early December, which was actually even before the Androscoggin Lake Steering Committee was formed. And as part of that effort, Henry, what we did was to do research around the state to find what other towns and municipalities had this kind of ordinance. The best model that we could find was the Auburn Water District, and we used that as a significant model. There was also an ordinance proposed in Lovell, and we looked at that. And towns in the Belgrades have studied this, although they did not actually enact an ordinance. So the short answer is there are some models in Maine, but this is not an ordinance, to be candid, that has been widely adopted by lots of towns in Maine, as yet. So what you have before you is sort of a representation of how this model could work, what an ordinance would look like, and the documents that you've reviewed are actually the last generation. We've updated it since then because we continue to do research on this and get more information. So for example, we have a new version that you haven't seen yet that includes in the report how the ordinance is complementary to and ties into the state of Maine subsurface wastewater disposal rule, which is 150 pages of rules and regulations about septic systems in Maine. And on the ordinance, we've reached out and continue to reach out to people who have expertise in the field. So we just got, for example, in the last day or two, some input from a guy who you may know, whose name is David Roque, who's a retired Maine soil scientist who is widely considered to be a person with a great deal of expert in Maine regulation and septic systems. So the idea here was just to give you an idea of what path this is on. And then as Doug indicated, this will fit nicely into the steering committee and the work that will be done, supported by the consultants, to actually give us some data on, how much do failed septic systems contribute to phosphorus that flows in the lake, which triggers algal blooms, with the idea that, as we continue to work on this and refine it, it will be ready, at some point to be considered for public hearing and then to go on for consideration by voters in the town.
Do you think that it will be done by this town meeting?
No, I don't think there's any way that's realistic, because I think the goal of both the steering committee and of this informal group is we want to give people all the information they need to be able to sort of make an informed decision on this. And I think our view is, without some quantification or data of just how big of a problem is this in terms of creating unsafe water conditions or contributing to pollution to the various lakes in Wayne, people will not have all the information they need.
Or it may not be as convincing.
Or it may, yeah, that's another way to say it.
There will be some people who will want to never be convinced.
So Ted, this is a June 27 possibly, and maybe not even then. Is that fair?
I think if everything goes according to plan and we can get all of the background and scientific work done in 26, I think it's a realistic goal to have this go through all the public hearing process and vetting, and then hopefully have it ready for consideration in June of 27. And look, let's be frank about it. I mean, the benefit, I think, of this, I don't have to convince you of what the benefit is. There's a burden associated with it, and we have to persuade people that the burden is worth the benefit. It's going to cost people money to have their septic tanks pumped on a regular basis and to be inspected. The town's gonna have to assume some administrative burden in administering this, and all that needs to be vetted and talked about.
Yeah, that covers that. That was one of my questions, because in the ordinance, it didn't explicitly say where the burden of the cost of those things is borne. I assumed it would be the property owner,
Yes.
but
Well, there's substantial town responsibilities in here that would have to be funded.
yes, that as well.
Yeah.
And I would urge people to take a little bit different view of this thing that Ted has provided, and that is that this was the law of the state before any green has occurred to the lake. It's going to be the law of the state after, and there are good reasons apart from this election of a couple of years with a bad septic system or with a bad lake. There are good reasons for doing this,
Ted,
and we got to remember that.
Ted, does current state law require periodic inspections as suggested in this ordinance?
Current state law requires that when a property is sold, the system must be inspected and it must pass inspection or be replaced.
And that I believe is in our zoning ordinance also.
It is.
if I'm not-
That is correct.
And so one thing we need to do, my position on this would be, why are we worrying about additional rules when we're not even enforcing the ones we have?
Well, quite right, quite right.
So-
My position would be, our first step is to enforce
Yeah.
what we've got
Yes, that's.
and make sure that we get something else, because
Yes,
That's right.
to the point of the paper, with the land transfers being so infrequent,
Yes.
it's not going to catch what we needed to catch.
Now,
Yeah.
Ted, as far as your group goes, I think as far as information to the town, at least what I would like to see is some basic schooling. I think you're gonna find a lot of people that say, if I can't see it and I can't smell it, the damn thing is working just fine.
Yep.
And
You're absolutely right. That's a huge challenge.
so, I don't know, I don't know the flaws that could occur in a septic system that could pollute the lake, that are not evidence on the surface or otherwise discernible, and we need schooling on that. Your group needs to school us on that.
Yep.
So the town can be convinced that this is something worthwhile.
Without turning this into a smelly discussion about septics, I can tell you that conception is 100% scientifically wrong.
No, and I'm not, and I'm not disputing that it's scientifically, that the smell test is the proper way to do it. But I'm telling you that I don't have, I couldn't explain to somebody who thinks it is why they're wrong.
Especially when they're getting a huge bill.
Well, and that's exactly why I think, Doug's point was correct, which is, we need to have, further community involvement in this, and the ability to have time to educate people and help them to understand that, just because you can't see it's broke doesn't mean it ain't broke. Especially, I can tell you, I have neighbors who say, oh yeah, I haven't had to do anything to my septic system in 40 years. Guess why?
Yeah.
Because it's broke.
No.
Well, And that's one reason why we can't have it ready for this June instead of, the town meeting, because we have to have, there wouldn't be time to get any of the summer people involved. And the summer people.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world. I'm just very anxious because I think it's important.
Yeah,
And just to be clear, when I say it's broke, what I mean by that is the actual effluent, the pollutants are not being treated properly and are floating through the soil and into water bodies.
Oh, my camp takes
Yeah.
water from our lake, and we don't filter it. Other than for sand. So I have a vested interest. Now, I'm on Picasset, but, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So
I
a
do-
question for Ted on this, and maybe this is where the other committee can help with some of the advocacy around this. But you know, if this isn't if there isn't a model in place for other towns looking at this, how do we work with like Town of Leeds, especially because if we on the Wayne side put an ordinance through like this, but they don't put it through on the neighboring towns that also border Androscoggin or any of our other lakes. There's probably other. I think some of our other lakes have borders with other towns. But how does that work, Ted? If it's only half implemented?
Yeah, so that's a very good point, and thank you for raising that point. So the goal here is, and we've talked about this in our informal group, but it's also true at sort of the Androscoggin steering level, because as Doug mentioned, this has to be, there has to be more joint coordination and cooperation between the towns. And so the idea would be to get Leeds on the same track as Wayne. And if this is going to be proposed in Leeds, you know, to also have, in Wayne, to also have a similar ordinance enacted in Leeds. And the good news is we have good participation on the Androscoggin Steering Committee with folks on the Leeds, in the Leeds Select Board and other leadership positions.
Right, but my
Right.
point is, it's not just Leeds. Lovejoy Pond borders Fayette. What's that pond coming into Wayne that borders
Wilson?
Winthrop? Like we've got other
Yeah.
lakes and ponds that Wayne is on one side and a neighboring town is on the other.
Yeah, that's a good
Well-
point, and I hadn't figured out all the geographic complications of that. But I guess my best answer is the best way to achieve progress is to start somewhere and get get a couple of towns to adopt this. Hopefully, we can proceed simultaneously and get a number of towns to do it, and then it will become an accepted practice.
Right.
Yeah, Ted,
That's
Ted,
why I
don't
use the
have
word
it-
advocacy, because I think there's probably some movement that can help
I get it, movement. right.
communicating this out. What'd you say, Tom?
You would have a lot of input
Yeah.
for the committee. That's good.
Well, Ted, I think that, and again, I don't have the information to tell you whether I support this ordinance or don't support it, because I don't have the information. But assuming it is worthwhile and should be passed, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if my neighbor stops picking up after his dog, am I also gonna leave mine in those yards?
Right.
That's really what we're talking about here.
Yeah, even if
I'm
we,
not cleaning up, I'm not picking up after my dog unless I can get all my neighbors to do the same thing.
no,
Yeah.
it seems to be talking about coordination, of
Yeah.
course, but even if we find ourselves out in front of this a bit, okay, we're out in front of this and let somebody else follow the lead and,
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah.
How to do it.
And frankly, that was one of the reasons why I think we wanted to sort of give you an early window into what's going on. This is not an easy thing to deal with. No one's saying it's easy. If it was easy, I would be here telling you, yeah, Wayne's behind the curve. There's 85 other towns in Maine that have already done this.
Well, I'm glad to see that we've raised the subject again, and thank you for the work that you guys have done.
And I can put this off my plate until 2027. That's good.
well, you got a lot of things to learn before that, though.
no,
On your own
this
initiative.
is a good thing. This is a good thing. it will be tough. I can imagine there are people who may very well know that they've got septic systems that are horrible, but they're not in a position to, they don't want to call any attention to it.
That's one reason why we have, in fact, it probably should be made, you have to look for it in here, but there is provision for extended schedules on this for hardship cases.
Yeah.
And I think it ought to have its own.
Yeah.
But there's no question that there's gonna be some need for, and there already are programs that could provide money for refixing septic people.
And there's-
But it's all a matter of whether somebody wants to or not.
I mean, I'd love to be a part of a whole big Q&A thing, but one
Yeah.
curious, one question that I do have is, now this would be focusing on septic systems that are within some proximity of a lake or a pond or a stream for the most part, right? Or would it be blanket for everyone?
Zoning ordinance, it's in zoning zone.
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
R4 and
It doesn't have
R6.
to be. You know, in your little write-up, you talked about 400 and something waterfront properties. I assuming you meant 400 and something properties in those zones.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm probably in the shoreland, village shoreland, but I don't have any waterfront.
Hmm.
When I look at the map, it looks like I'm in it.
You may be.
It's one of the reasons I'm kind of asking, because do we look at, obviously you've got wells and you've got, water moving underneath the surface. I mean, where do you stop? Where do you say, okay, that's fine. That's okay, but this is bad. And I get zones. We already have areas that are zoned, so that's an easy one for us to kind of take a look
Shoreline is
at.
defined,
But
and that's
Mhm.
like a lot of these things. It's just an
Yeah.
arbitrary rule.
yeah,
But it's
Okay.
not on, the update was good. We need to keep it on the radar and get the
Yeah.
information so we can be knowledgeable of it when it comes up. But other than that, it's not really on our plate
Yeah.
at this
Right.
minute.
I had a couple
So-
questions, I'm passing on.
Yeah.
them.
So I
Yeah.
suggest we move on and,
Yeah.
Future
and
work
that,
product,
and
yeah.
that's not doing anything to short shift the effort, Ted.
No.
Just
Yeah,
I think we need to,
good stuff.
we need to keep at it. I would like if there could be some, input or a little more definition on what the town would have to do, because my personal
Yeah.
opinion, I thought maybe you all were trying to get this up for the June town meeting.
Mm.
And my position personally was going to be, if I would oppose putting this ordinance on unless I'm also adding a budget article to supplement the town staff to enforce it. So as we get information, it would be good if we could have,
Yeah.
something that tells us like, what are the
Sure.
enforcement costs for this that the town needs to provide?
Yeah.
Right, I mean, if we're going to if a CEO is going to a certain number of houses every single year, that's a number of hours, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's in here, and you can turn this into exactly what
Yeah.
you need.
sure, but
We'll
we
do
have,
it.
we have
We'll
a
do
year
it.
and a half to work
Yeah,
on
we'll
it,
do
so.
it all.
Yeah,
I'm-
no, I mean, I think the way to think about this is just like what Doug said, we're gonna come back and keep talking to you guys when we have something that is important for you to hear about. And that's the whole
That's perfect.
purpose of the work groups that are gonna be working in 2026 to hopefully flesh all this out.
Well, thank you for the
Okay, great.
introduction to this. It's good to know what's going on.
Thank you, Ted.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
And thanks,
you.
Lloyd, for your work on
And
this.
yes,
Yes,
thank
thank
you,
you,
Lloyd. It's so important.
I think we've moved on to the budget. Is that correct? Where we are now?
Yep.
Budget overview.
Crystal, did you get the budget documents in your email just before the meeting, the updated ones?
Well, I can see it on my phone, but my Outlook account has crashed and I'm trying to sign back in.
Okay,
Something that happened in the last couple of hours while being on this call.
Okay.
So yeah, yes, I have it, but I'm a little challenged. Oh, I found myself back online. Go ahead.
all right, so we can start with animal control. I had as the first one on there. So
Is this the same that's what's in our book?
so I've updated some of them. I think the animal control may have been the same. You'll see differences in the public safety. You'll see differences in the roads.
All
And
right,
I think that'll mostly just be it, those primarily those two.
good enough, thanks.
Yeah, so under section 106 for animal control. You'll see mostly some decreases on here, just based off of what we were seeing over the last year. Keeping in mind, we're about 65% of the way through the fiscal year. So for the year-to-date column under 2026, you can expect that to still go up, and primarily going up as we move into the spring and summer is when we start to see more animals a little loose. And that's when we get more of the calls. But as of right now, just kind of going off of this, it was a 9% decrease for the control wages, and then the wages are usually submitted through hours that are spent individually.
So now I need to try to put this into the little boxes that we have, Shannon. So the proposal for control officer stipend is still $5,000. That's under the 27 initial.
Yes, that's a monthly stipend, so kept that the same.
So the
That's a-
stipend is paid no matter what, and
Correct.
the
It's an-
wages are when that
They
person is
continue.
working.
Correct.
Got it, okay.
And so the wages went from 33 to 3,000.
Yes, so I decreased that.
Okay. And your Medicare match?
Also decreased slightly, just
Okay.
due to that decrease in the wages.
Do you think
Yeah.
we'll even need the 3,000? I mean, you must have.
So we will be looking at a potential deputy coming into work.
Okay,
And then maybe taking over as the animal control officer. So I'd like to see how that plays out.
got it. Thank you.
Anna will not be continuing with us as of July 1st.
So the total for this category is 11,848.
Correct. Are there any questions?
No, that was mine.
Okay. We can hop back to section 104 is the fire department. And there were no changes from the budget for last year. Pending any questions?
Now, this is the budget, where did they restore $35,000 a year for their fire, but that's a different item, right?
So they usually get a $75,000 towards a fire truck, and that's in the capital reserves. And that is what has been invested currently and looking to gain interest by the end of July.
What's the,
Capital transfers will be on your next meeting on March 17th, and the fire chief will be in attendance for that, just to go over, he is proposing updating one of their trucks, one of their pumper
what's the
trucks.
difference between operating expense and fire department?
So operating expenses, they do meet, I would say weekly, every month to do trainings. And so, a lot of those, are covered under the stipends, the firefighter stipends. So they get those paid out twice a year. And then the Medicare and FICA to cover that. Under the operating expenses, that's for any kind of equipment that they update on the truck, any kind of fuel. They have light upgrades that they've done. They've purchased updated, uniforms or equipment and things. We did just receive a grant for some wild firefighter.
Operating expenses are subtotal of the three items up above it.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
so-
a question regarding that grant? Will we be taking that in and accepting it as grant money and putting it into this line item?
yes, I've been working online through our sam.gov website right now, just trying to update our entity. That's something that hasn't been done for a couple of years and needs to go through that process in order to receive those funds. And so that process is almost complete. And once I do that, then we can sign that. And then I will bring it to the select board to approve.
Thank you.
Receipt of, and then there's a matching portion, but that will also come out of the operations or the equipment line of the fire department.
Thanks.
It was about
Shannon, I'm
35.
not sure if you answered this question. Did the fire department weigh in on this?
Oh, yes, I got all of the equipment from the fire chief
Thank you.
in order to apply for the grant.
No, I meant not just the grant, but this zero increase budget.
Yes, I did. From the fire chief,
And so far for this year, 77,451.
correct. He's out of state right now, or else he'd be here in attendance as well. Other,
On the, we need to get, we need to get feedback about grants, especially matching grants on when we have to have town approval
okay,
and when not. And that needs to go, when we send our warrant to, Phil to review, I have some questions on that I'd like him to give me written answers to
okay.
on how to do certain things.
So, okay, so even if it comes out of an operating budget,
Well, then it really isn't matching. I mean, the grant is just supplementing, right? It's supplementing the budget.
so it's a matching grant, so it's a $3,500 grant.
Yeah,
And then 3,500 would come out of this. Essentially, he would be paying $7,000 for new equipment. But instead, we're using this grant to help alleviate some of that burden. or
but the
that
grant
cost.
really, what the grant is doing is it is adding X bucks to the equipment. Correct?
Or, it depends on how you want to take it. You could take
Well-
out 3,500 or you could add 3,500.
Well,
If
what
we
I'm
say we're
saying
gonna
is that's
spend
not-
money on,
It's not appropriating an additional $3,500.
Correct.
It's not like the matching grant for the ports, as an example, where the town had to appropriate money to match the grant.
Correct.
We
Okay.
just need to get it.
yeah, it sounds like if
It's
you,
gonna-
if you're gonna buy something, you get the grant saying, you go buy it and we'll pay for half of it.
Right.
You pay half and we'll pay half.
Yeah.
And that's the,
It's like
Matching
applying
part,
for an
yeah.
intern grant for 4,300 to supplement the costs of.
that we're gonna be paying, yeah.
So I think, Henry, you raised a really interesting question there about under what circumstances does the select board have to weigh in or the town need to approve applying for
Well,
grants?
there's some laws on it, and there's MMA materials on the, that I have. And the warrant article that we have been using that basically says you're okay to accept any grants.
Yeah.
I need to, I would like to have Bill tell me, it's my opinion that that's a valid article. And then once I get that, then I'm happy.
Okay.
Without that, I'm not so sure that it is.
Ooh,
Okay. All right, any other questions for the fire department? Next section is 108 for public safety, and this is where you will see our most significant increases primarily throughout the whole budget. With the exception of the E911 coordinator stipend and the dam keeper stipend, those were maintained as they have historically been. And then moving down under contractual. So that's under the Winthrop Ambulance Service. And last year they incorporated a new ratio for capita or for services. And I did hand out, and I provided in that email, if you were able to get it, Hazel, right there, it's an overview of the ambulance services.
Mhm.
And so it shows you, it breaks it down as far as how many people we have for our town. And then it's a 50-50 ratio. And so 50% for the capita and then 50% for usage. And so going off of that, are there any questions about that? I mean, honestly, this also is probably going to go up a little bit more because Winthrop's also looking at including a capital investments program plan cost into that, kind of like what the transfer station does for their capital investments for any kind of equipment. We pay two separate invoices currently. We have one for operational costs and then we have one for equipment essentially for
I'm
the
sure.
Bobcat or the excavator and for any other the building itself, I think, as well. So Winthrop's looking at doing that and they're going to be having a meeting next week, I think on the 10th. If anyone is interested in attending, I just attended one last week where they presented this overview to us. So I don't have that updated total cost or base for the CIP, but we can expect that may go up a little bit more.
An example of this absurdity of having so many different have you made any progress? Is that what these meetings are about? There's, some way, we can't get it done for this budget, but some way down the line, we can orchestrate this into a system that's gonna really survive.
So, last night I attended a council meeting for Winthrop, and, in it, we brought up the point of Winthrop establishing a PSAP, which is an answering point. We currently have that down under PSAP dispatching, and that's budget line 0350 for 5,915. That actually goes through Androscoggin County. So all of our 911 calls go to Androscoggin, they get filtered there, they get sent over to Winthrop for EMS and for fire department, and then they dispatch out either through Winthrop ambulance or to our Wayne Fire Department. And then we have a separate sheriff's department through Kennebec County. That the 4,000 budget line is primarily for patrols that we request. And so that is for like Strawberry Festival, or, you know, if we have any events that we want to have come out. This year, we don't have any on there yet. Although I did look, and we should have had the one for the Strawberry Festival, which was in July. So I'm gonna look into that for 2026 year to date. In the year previous, we had, I think, it was 1360 for the holiday stroll, to have 2 police officers there for 8 hours each day, or 1 officer each day for 8 hours. But then the rural patrol dispatch. So that's including the sheriff's county, the county sheriff's patrol out here in Wayne, and that they are now upgrading to Augusta's PSAP. And so that is doubling their budget and essentially ours by 55%. And so we are jumping from 12,000 up to 19,000. And so what I talked about in the council meeting last night, and right now what Winthrop is looking at doing, is just doing some research on what it would cost to establish a PSAP in Winthrop up near the fire department. And so it would require taking on additional dispatchers at a higher certification. But then in the case that Androscoggin may end up going away at some point, we don't want to be left in the dust. And Winthrop currently serves 7 different communities, including Mount Vernon and Fayette, Wayne, Reedfield, Monmouth, Manchester, Winthrop. And so of all of those, if we could kind of take out the middleman of going to Androscoggin and then relaying it to Winthrop, if we could establish that, I think it's also a stepping point for regionalization for different communities coming together and understanding what that would look like potentially for those 7 communities. And if we wanted to partner with them at some point to expand their police force and serve Wayne, it may serve as a better services for response times rather than coming from Augusta, you'd be coming from Winthrop. And I do understand that we do have some residents either in Wayne or Fayette, I pass them on my way home, that are currently Winthrop police officers. So we could potentially have some residents in the area that have take-home police cruisers that serve through Winthrop and could potentially pay service to the town. Nothing in stone. I did ask that they start researching it and then to draft interlocal agreements and a cost share program to understand what that would look like before towns could weigh in or contribute any thoughts. But that's just a first step. This is just right now, just reflecting the increasing in costs across all the different services that we have in public safety. Are there any other questions about those?
And we move sand and salt shed lights someplace else to
I think-
utilities.
I don't think those are sand and salt sheds. That'll be down under the roads. This is actually the street lights that we have downtown. And I think that we had an agreement for LED upgrades, a contract, and that's something that we're looking into. But that was an annual, I think, $6,000 contract. I think I'll look into that a little bit more, but that was through Maine Power Options. So we'll move that because I don't think that needs to be under public safety. I think it was under there because it provides lighting in the downtown area.
Where would you move it?
Maybe under land and buildings.
Hmm.
Same thing with the salt shed, lighting, utilities.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
So that's the electric bill for the street lights.
Correct.
Yeah, that seems like it ought to go in the utility side. Maybe not.
Yeah. Are there any other questions about this section?
Nope.
Okay. So then just moving on finally to roads.
You did a great
Okay.
job with the update. I was looking at that this morning and noticed there wasn't a lot to talk about on the old version.
No. I have,
Transfer station is 110, right?
it's 109. Oh, transfer station, yes. Did I say transfer station first?
No, you said roads,
Okay,
but
yes. so
Eric
roads
said
is 109.
transfer station.
Transfer station comes after
We're
that.
talking about roads right now?
Yeah,
When do you want?
You're on?
yep, yep.
Yes,
Okay.
roads, my mistake.
No, let's-
So section 109 is roads. And some of these are still pending updates to contracts. But this is kind of what I was looking at based off of our previous contracts that we had for our parking lot plowing. That is also up for a renewal contract. So I just increased that up to 5220, like no more than that. Just after talking with our plowing, our lot plowing contractor, they said that they would be probably upping that cost. So that's something that we may need to put out to bid. We had extended it from last year. And then, so that's at 5220, and that includes all of our town lots, at the municipal building, down at the townhouse, the Lad Rec Center,
That includes Lad Rec.
yes. And then, I want to say it did include up around one of our parks. I'd have to check the other ones too, but for all of our municipal buildings, primarily, the town office and the townhouse.
How up to date is the year to date 2026?
So that is up to date. That is current as of today. So I just printed these off before I came down here. And so, pending tonight's, warrant article, which I don't think it had any for it tonight. On your next one, I'll have another, payment for the lots. Usually goes into the second warrant of each month.
It's
Road plowing, so this is just a slight increase based off of, this is based off of the actual budget, no, excuse me. Trying to think if it was off the, so this is a slight increase based off of the current budget from last year. But what we'd be looking at is a significantly higher increase off of the actual budget. And so it's reflected in there. This year, we're at 107, and we still have we still have this month, which pending tonight, and then April, and I believe that'll be the last one after that, so.
Yeah.
Maybe
We're about at the end of the season.
we are, yes.
So-
But the plowing contract is gonna be a set amount, but the way the contract is written, it can't be determined until September. I think you and Mark agreed to use August now. figures.
Yes, so we have August.
And so, the last few years, it's been running very modest increases, 1% or so. But we don't know what it's going to be. Several years before that, it was much higher increases. The budget is based on a 5% increase, so it probably won't be that much, but it could be. This index is driven a lot by diesel prices, and we got a war in the Persian Gulf.
Mhm.
And so what's that gonna do to diesel prices between now and August? I don't know. So it's, last year it was, it was calculated the same way, and we had some surplus. Also, plowing White Road needs to come out of this. And so I think it's a good number.
The only other increase I would get is, I was gonna say now for mowing, what wasn't there previously, it was for the, it's a town, like an island. And it was on some previous contract, and so I ended up carrying that through.
That's my flower.
I want, that's your flowers, that's not
No,
your
but I think
flowers.
that's, is that?
I think it's right by the old Winthrop Road turn where the sign is right there with the community events.
Well, that used to be an island way long ago, but also, he used to mow up on the end of Memorial Park.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about your flowers right down on the 133. not mowing those.
No, but he used to mow that. I'm saying he mowed that until a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think, what, $100 for a year of mowing? What is that?
All right.
The village plowing, that includes the
101.
footbridge?
Okay, 100.
There's a question. Does the village plowing include the footbridge?
So the village, yes, that
Okay.
contract does include the footbridge, but it doesn't include, I mean, there's certain stipulations on the village snow removal contract that has within 24 hours. I do get some calls very soon after it snows. And I hope that residents are also aware that we do have 133 right there, and that is maintained by DOT. So if they come through and they're plowing right after our sidewalks get plowed, then we're essentially doing double work. And so we have a 24-hour limit for the sidewalks to get done. And I think our contractor has been pretty diligent about getting out there. But just a friendly reminder to some of our residents.
Now, I have an issue on the roads that I would like to raise. And maybe it can be done later. I don't know. It has to do with the warrant article.
Mhm.
Okay. This year, for the first time, they basically said in the warrant article from last year that any surplus in roads gets transferred to the road capital reserve. Okay. I would suggest that that is a very bad policy. And here's why. The surplus otherwise lapses into uncommitted reserves, which the town can use for whatever it wants. If the uncommitted reserves are fat, the town, you can have, if the road reserve is $350 this year, the warrant article could be that's funded. The town will raise and appropriate $250, $250,000 and transfer $100,000 from reserves. You can always transfer from reserves. You can transfer from reserves to lower the tax commitment. That was done by this town for many, many, many years in the past, but it hasn't been recently. If you make it automatic, then you don't have that money in reserves. You have no way to put it back into reserves. Also, I would suggest it's exactly the same, because when somebody says, what are we going to raise and appropriate for a road reserve for this year? I would have to say, well, wait a minute, how much do we need and how much of that is coming in from the surplus? And the appropriation should be that much less. So I think there should be an appropriation for road reserve, and a surplus from any account should lapse. And then the town at town meeting has the authority to use any excess that they feel they have in uncommitted reserves to put it anywhere that they want.
Right.
The town can't appropriate. The town can't say raise and appropriate $200,000 for uncommitted reserves. That's not allowed. The only way you get uncommitted reserves is by budgeting high and spending low, or out of the overlay. And that's my 2 cents on that. I don't know if that's an item for discussion. If all you're talking about at your budget meeting on next Tuesday is numbers, then I guess that's not an item for discussion. But if we're talking about warrant articles, then it is.
I'll offer my 2 cents.
Yes, sir.
Not that I disagree with what
Yeah.
you just stated as a policy.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna get some resistance.
Oh, I'm sure I will. But I also am going to have, somebody's gonna say, the town is squealing by under the burden of taxes and people are hurting. And you know what I'm going to say? Me, Henry, in the last 2 years, paid $1,150 of my money into road reserve. And 700 something of it is still sitting there and it hasn't been spent. And you've come to me over the last few years and said, you need $1,050 for road reserve. And you haven't spent 750. When you come to me this year and say, I need another $350 from you, Henry, at town meeting, I'm going to say, no, spend what you have and then come see. Now, I think we'll take care of that and we will spend it.
Specifically, but generally, it still is an open question.
Well, it shouldn't be an open question. In my opinion, if the town adds $350,000 to a road reconstruction reserve. And the rationale for that is we have these 8 projects that need to be done. Then that money ought to be spent on those 8 projects. I would suggest. But anyway, automatically taking surplus and putting it into a reserve account takes away options that the town should probably exercise at the town meeting when those funds are available.
Yeah, you're creating a roads trust the other way.
Well, we have a roads trust, but I'm just saying you can do it. You can take the town may take the surplus and put it on, add it to the road reserve. The town may take the surplus,
Right.
leave it in uncommitted reserves. The town may take the surplus and put it someplace else that it needs it. There's no reason
Yeah.
to,
Takes the flexibility.
there's no reason to deprive the town of that flexibility because someone likes roads.
Well, and I guess the point and people pushing back would be, okay, understand flexibility, but if the roads are on an ongoing basis underfunded, they don't get work done, that was somebody who's just focused on roads, yes, would want it to be that way.
Well, they're not underfunded. The fact that we haven't spent the funds doesn't mean they're underfunded. That kind of says it's overfunded.
Right.
It means we haven't
But
done our job on letting the contracts and repairing the roads. That's what
Well-
that means.
it could be that something comes up, some unexpected thing happens and you don't spend it because you didn't need it. Or you couldn't spend it because of something that you can't control.
Yeah, I think there has been a longstanding perception that we have underspent on road maintenance in town, and that has been the impetus for rolling this money over into a reserve fund. I don't disagree with you that it makes more sense to retain the flexibility to use those funds for other purposes when they arise. All I'm saying is that this is gonna require some public education to change that policy.
Well, public
Well,
education committee.
the policy is brand new last year. I don't believe that there was any public discourse about it outside of the budget committee and select board, but maybe there was. I don't remember any public hearing.
No, but there was some discussion at town meeting. about it.
Okay. Yeah. And, but anyway,
What are we doing?
that's, and I don't know when that comes up. I mean, we're talking about that in the budget now, but we're not actually talking about the wording of the warrant article. So I don't know if this is the time or not.
Okay. So overall, contractually, we're looking at a 1.17% increase. Utilities is a 60% increase based off of our historical last 2 years. We've significantly gone over budget, and that's for the sand and salt shed.
I was gonna say, that's the one you're moving.
Yeah, that's something that, yes, that's what we're looking at moving out. As we now have an infrastructure committee that deals with the roads and things, and then we have a land and buildings committee that deals with the buildings. So utilities, I put that under infrastructure, that may need to go under land and buildings. But that's specific to those buildings. For roads maintenance, we're looking at a 4% decrease overall, just looking at a lot of the numbers that we have here, and then a lot of the numbers that we haven't spent. But a lot of that is also too, we are about to go into spring when most of that road maintenance occurs. And as we are developing that 5-year road plan and what supporting ditch work or culvert work or tree trimming needs to get done, that's something that we're going to start applying more. So we may see some of these numbers kind of start, the year to dates and actual start increasing over the next year or two. But as of right now, historically, this is where we're at. And I don't think that we need to significantly increase it or keep it at that as we're kind of getting back into it.
Yeah.
So
I have a point of view about that, and that is historically, if we look back a few years, if these things haven't been taken care of, maybe it's that we haven't been paying enough attention, and we should just straight line fund them because we will be paying more attention.
mhm.
That's my concern.
Got a road commissioner question. Are we gonna have a plan to spend the $50,000 on ditching between now and June 30th. I mean, I see we had $50,000 on ditching and we've spent zero.
True.
What does ditching mean and what are we going to do about ditching between now and June 30th?
So
We
ditching,
did ditching this year.
no, we
not.
did the tree trimming. We didn't really do the ditching. We did the mowing alongside and the prepping
Right,
for,
right. I thought we had done
that.
ditching too. Okay.
yeah.
You
And-
did.
So we do need to start doing that in preparation for the roads that we're gonna be putting out to bid. Some of that should have already been done and some of it may still need to be done. And so as far as having a plan, that's something I'll bring up with the infrastructure committee.
On since we now have an infrastructure committee, where is our infrastructure stuff that's not roads?
Oh, dams and, yeah, so those still need to be added. And I'll make a note of that.
Do we
It's
add those,
somewhere
do we add those to
So-
this article and call it infrastructure, or do we make
So,
up a new category? for
We have a
infrastructure?
dam keeper and we went over that under the public safety. And so that was the $500 stipend to maintain that. As far as, other dam maintenance, that falls under the land and buildings and that is under footbridge, I think. And I don't think that we have anything specific to the dams themselves as far as like cutting out those trees that are down in the Mill Pond dam. That all needs to be taken care of. That could probably go under brush and tree removal under roads as well. So that's something to consider as we have that already under here. But how we shape or describe some of these things. I guess it would be identifying what maintenance the dams need would be the first step.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I have a quick, small question. Roads administration is even funded and no money comes out of it. Is there a way to have another $500?
So this year I'm looking at using the administrative fee for the capital planner coming out of that line because there's a $300 administrative fee. And so if we're using that to apply towards anything with the roads, that's what I'm looking at applying in there. And in the future, if say we need to do anything more with roads, I think that would be good for applying that.
Will you be able to spend this $500 on the beginning of that work and then?
Well, this year I can do that for this. And then I don't know what we want to do next year.
You know, a consideration on how we organize this, Shannon. If you had this roads item, if this appropriation was Sheldon Town vote to raise and appropriate X dollars for infrastructure, and you had roads and you had dams in there, then you are correct. The brush and tree removal, which we had $30,000 and have only spent $4,000 so far, some of that might be available to remove the trees out of the creek. But since that $30,000 is in roads, I don't think it's available for you to use to take care of the brush by the dam.
Changing this from roads to infrastructure would make
And
sense.
and have the dams included as part of one of the budget items
Subtly
in there.
supporting his flexible account,
Okay.
pushing that angle here, but.
Well, you have,
it's working.
No.
right now, if you want to cut those trees out, you have no money to do it with.
Mhm.
But we really do have money. It's just, you can't use it to cut trees out of the creek because there is no budget item for cutting trees out of the creek. And you can't put that under roads maintenance, probably.
Are there any other questions pertaining to roads or infrastructure?
Yeah, Shannon. So I want to go back because even though you're showing a decrease in this section, on the line items that just haven't been used in the last couple of years, are they unnecessarily high? And you know, signs and painting isn't a lot of money, but the 50,000 on ditching, is there anything like? Did the infrastructure committee or anybody weigh in on how much ditching is needed? Because that just seems like a round number that might have been put in and is just getting carried along.
Yeah, I'm looking at 2025. I mean, 34,000 was spent. That was something that I got around to a little late with the paving of the roads this past year. So like I did just mention a minute ago with Henry that I will reach out to the infrastructure committee to have a plan on that. For the painting, I have already received a request to have the sidewalks painted this spring. And so after we get the sweeping done, like we did last year before Memorial Day, I'm looking to hopefully line up the sweeping and then get the painting. And so hopefully the Main Street can look nice right before Memorial Day. And then as far as signs go, they had bought some signs back a while ago. I haven't personally done an inventory on them yet, and I think that we need to have an inventory because we have a whole lot of them up at the North Wayne Dam House. And so I'm just hesitant to take out any money from that, not knowing what needs to come from it.
Yeah, and those are just small line items. I'm more curious about the ditching one because that 50,000 just seems like it's possibly higher than necessary, but that's not based on any facts. It's just it's just looking at the numbers across the page here.
Is
Yeah.
there anybody we can ask about the 2025 actual ditching? Ask what was done and find out how
Was it more of a one-off?
complete that was. Was there enough done? Because that was 34. So if that was something that was perfectly adequate for 25, it may be that we could dial it back a little bit more towards the 2025 number.
Yeah.
But we really should have more information to know
Right.
what's going on, and it might be an opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, and if we make this an infrastructure line item, don't we have a report that basically says all these trees growing in the creek below the mill stream are undermining the dam
Yes.
and they need to be removed?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I would just point out that several years ago, some private property owners got in some trouble with the DEP for removing fallen trees in the water. So I know there are regulations around that.
Yeah.
We just need to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, we would have to make sure that
Yeah.
we can do that, but yeah.
We did have an inspector, I think it was from BLS and then tied in with OSHA that had come down and they were doing an inspection of our dam. And they were the ones who stated, because they had previously worked on dams, that it was detrimental to the dam itself. And that was something that needed to be maintained. Now, we do have a dam manual, and then our current dam manual for the town needs to be updated as far as maintenance goes, but we'll make sure. There's a reference that our fire chief actually got for me in the state dam department. So I've got to reach out to her. I've also got photos that Steve and Diana McLaughlin shared for the North Wayne Dam and some of the things that we've got to look at for both of them.
Yeah, it was just a word of caution that
But yeah,
Right.
DEP is a separate agency with their own set of regulations.
Right.
Yeah.
May have a different view.
yes, I will
Now-
include that.
In our budget process this year, before we put this to bed and go to the town, are we going to, how, if at all, are we going to address the North Wayne Dam? And the problems with the cracks in the concrete?
So the dam people that the fire chief had reached out to, they, and what?
MEMA, I believe.
Mima, yes, and her name's Tara Ayotte. But she actually said that it didn't look that it would, like the crack was significant and it would cause failure to the dam in any way anytime soon. Still something to be aware of and
So it's just a cosmetic item now,
Yes.
it appears to be.
that's what it seems to be.
It's a
And
granite block foundation of the dam. It's just faced with concrete.
Uh-huh.
And they're very typical leak.
mhm. So we are contacting them and trying to set up a time, but they said that they're years out from coming out and actually doing a physical inspection. So in the meantime, we're sending photos and they'll do an assessment that way. Are there any other questions about the roads budget? Okay, and finally, last but not least, the Department 110 is the transfer station, and we do have a representative here with us from the transfer station's committee. So we kept the hazardous waste budgeted at 5,000. In previous years, it had been at 3,500 and we went over budget. Last year, we budgeted at 5,000, we came under budget. So it's kind of averaging, I would say, right around 3,000. But again, it just depends on the participation from the town and how many people actually have hazardous waste that summer and want to bring it in. And that's usually falls on the second week of July. So if there's anybody listening, if they're interested in hazardous materials and participating in that, we do take down names and contact information and submit that in for that. So I
This
just,
is the money that we pay to the
correct,
transfer station for that weekend.
correct. And then under contractual, we're looking at a slight increase from this year. Last year it had decreased from the year previously, but looked like at 1.41% across the board.
I think a lot of that was driven by some of the fees that we need to pay, and the recycling isn't paying us as much as it used to. As part of that. I don't know, you might have talked to Eric about all of that at some point.
Not a lot.
No,
I know, last night in Winthrop too, we were just told that the cost to ship out all of our, trash is going up almost double, for the cost of it. And so we're trying to do a fee schedule, revisit as well.
yeah, as we've done. Yeah.
Mhm. Are there any questions about the transfer station budget? Are there any other questions about previous items? I think there was actually one that had come up under general assistance, and that was for the insurance portion. There was a question because we had a budget line for 30,000 for insurance and what that looked like. So I went back and took a look.
What numbers are those?
So under the insurance, this is back under general administration that we talked about at the last meeting.
Got it, okay.
And so I just made a little note on there to go back and look at insurance because we had 30,000 consistently each year. And in 2025, we spent 25,000. In 2026, we spent 24,000. And that has slowly decreased just slightly because it includes workers' compensation and the unemployment compensation fund that we contribute towards in MMA. And those have gone down just because of the decreasing in costs that we had over the last couple of years and employment. We can probably expect to start seeing that going back up, and primarily because of the property and casualty pool. And so that is also probably going to start going back up because, again, with the audits, we had Maine Municipal Association, the risk department came out and did a review of all of our buildings. And so under our property and casualty pool, all of that, they just did an assessment on what everything's valued at. And so even though we have 3 vacant buildings currently, some of the other things went up. And so what we're seeing is that certain things across personnel, across buildings, for insurance and liability. In the past years, it's gone down, but it also hasn't been reviewed in the last so many years. And so now they're starting to review that and things have gone up. And so this year, just keeping it again at 30,000, but they said in the upcoming years, it may increase. So we could have either taken the hit now or we could take the hit later. So we just said, we're going to stick with it now and keep moving forward.
Have numbers changed at all in the 100 department since, or would you even know
I haven't
based on what
gotten
I have?
the updated number for the chairs yet to add under the office expenses. I think there was an estimate for that, but I haven't added that in yet. And I don't think I had any other notes from the planning committee or the budget committee.
Will we get new pages to fill in on great book that you provided for us as things change?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, as they change. I will give you an overview when we get to the final portion where we do a joint meeting and just talk about all the things that have changed.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then, I think, is that it for budget? Yeah, I don't think there was anything to talk about with the school. Met with the ambulance. I think that's it.
Rest of it is next meeting?
So.
entire rest of the budget is next meeting?
Yeah, so outside agencies, recreation, land and buildings, which include parks, and then capital transfers is gonna be the largest portion, I would say. There are a lot of proposals, as I mentioned earlier when Doug was here. There's not only the $10,000 request from the 30 Mile River, but an additional 15,000 for the algal blooms research. You've also received another request for the North Wayne Dam. And there was a quote that a group has received, like an estimate to get some work done up there on the stairs. So that will come to the select board for some consideration. The fire truck through the fire chief, he'll be in to discuss that. And majority of that is currently in a capital reserve account and accruing interest. But there will be a remainder portion that he will request in order to obtain that. And then we can talk through some of the other infrastructure aspects. I haven't had anyone else apply for the buildings committee yet. And so that may end up falling onto next year's budget as we get an assessment, for that. But other than that, I don't have anything.
The public comments.
Hi, public.
Just, excuse me, question. I haven't heard of any further activity on the Lab Center program ordinance. Is anything been scheduled for a stakeholder meeting?
I'm not
Oh.
scheduling it, but
That was in my town manager's report.
Yeah.
I meant to ask the select board at the last meeting, so I was gonna ask them tonight, what time frame would work for them. So that's on my list next.
Okay.
But I
Shannon,
can
I'll
add
let
that.
you know my possible availability if that works for you. I'll email you.
Absolutely. And now this is gonna be a joint workshop between both the select board and the Lad Rec Center board, so
yes, ma'am.
we'd be expecting everybody.
Well, we
Ideally.
I'd like everybody, but if everybody, everybody doesn't come to every meeting, it would be nice for as many people to come as possible.
So maybe by the end of the week, we could set up a time, like you could get me your contact information or time frame information. Would that make sense? Is that
You have my
feasible?
contact information.
on
Not
Thursday to
contact,
Thursday.
schedule information, that.
Yeah, I'm gone day after tomorrow till the next Thursday. Other than that, it's fine.
Okay.
And after our next meeting, our meeting on the 17th,
Mhm.
we have a 3-week break, I believe.
Okay,
So that's a good time to put in something extra.
Hmm.
But you have to work that out with Eric's crew.
does the Lad Rec Center board have any particular times that they're looking for?
I doubt we're gonna get the entire board.
Okay.
I think we can get a significant contingent of the board available whenever the select board's available to be.
Okay. All right.
Town manager report.
All right, so first and foremost, the roads have been posted. And so that means that anything over 23,000 pounds is not supposed to drive on those roads if it's above freezing. Just to help preserve those roads that we are putting money into and maintaining. I have had 2 requests for permits so far. So I have one that has come through from CH Stevenson is one of our local contractors. And then I've also received another request for a concrete for pouring of a slab on a house. But I said they need to give me a specific day. So that is still pending. And so that'll depend on the time and day and location. The planning board is currently seeking an alternate member. That's not something new. That's been something since they originally reappointed Andrew Gorel and Jeannie Burnett. And so they still have a vacant alternate member. And so I've advertised for that. If there's anybody that's interested in serving on the planning board, please submit an application to the town office. Same thing goes for the buildings committee, as I mentioned also earlier. Please submit an application to be on the buildings committee. I'll be posting up pictures of all of our buildings so people can get an idea and weigh in on what they think would be beneficial for those buildings or for the town. And so that's coming up on the next advertisements. Nomination papers are now available at the town office, and that is for 2 select board members, 1 school board member, and 1 budget committee member.
When do those have to be done?
They have to be turned back in by April 10th to the
Okay.
town office. The Comprehensive Planning Committee will be meeting this Thursday at 6:30 PM. I haven't received confirmation from one of our select board members. I don't know who would be interested in attending this Thursday night.
The agenda is the only holdover from last time.
Hazel, did you have any more interest in serving on the Comprehensive Planning Committee?
I'd be very interested. I just think it's going to take probably more time than I have available at the moment.
Okay.
That is where that's gonna be held.
So that will be at the town office.
Okay.
That will be at 6:30 PM, and I will also have that recorded over Zoom. So if you are interested, Hazel, in just either watching the recording or zooming in, there
Yeah.
will be a presentation from Grania Shaw from Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, just going over the availability and support that they can provide. Currently, they're looking at the soonest would be 8 to 10 months, but they'll talk through what that looks like, and then what we can do in the meantime. So my check mark about meeting with the Lad Rec Center for a workshop. Next week, we're gonna have our auditors in the office all week working on our 2025 audit. So the office, our tax collector, treasurer, and myself may be wrapped up in some of that. Like I said, there will also be that ambulance meeting on the 10th. That'll be over in Winthrop 4. School board is having a joint meeting. They welcome and encourage all select board members from all of the towns that are involved in RSU 38 to attend their meeting on March 18th at 6:30 PM at the Marana Cook Middle School to go over their budget. And then finally, just for the annual town report, I've started collecting the reports from all of our community members. And so if there are any community organizations that still have to submit that, I request that they send it to me by the end of April, so I can start compiling it for the first week of May and then get it to the printers prior to our meeting in June. I'd also request that the select board start considering who they want to dedicate that town report to. So just think about it. Same thing with the Spirit of America, which is a volunteerism type of award. And so anybody that you think would be honored to be the dedicated town report nominee, and then also the Spirit of America award.
Yeah. I don't remember talking about that last year. But I know we picked people. How did we do that?
I
And
don't
is that
remember
something-
talking about it. I remember
We were-
someone saying, is this person okay? And it's going, yes, that's fine.
Okay.
But I don't know how the
Who
names
was,
came
who
up.
was it?
I think
We-
people just floated names now. Whether or not we missed somebody that should have been considered, I don't know, because it was a bit kind of like random.
But it seems kind of like a weird thing to talk about at a public meeting, but that's how we have to do our business. So
Mhm.
I'd guess we need to put it on as an agenda item and talk about it at a meeting. If I'm open to if anybody has a better idea on how we can do that and be within be legal.
I
I'm
assume
open to
that
it.
anyone in the community can suggest names.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
yes, yes, yes.
So we need to see if there's other folks out there.
And it doesn't have to be just one, it can be multiples. And then the Spirit of America Foundation, we can submit those names into them, and then they give us a certificate that we can print out. And then last year, I think we incorporated that into a frame and signed it and everything too, so that was nice.
One thing I would I'm just throwing this out for what it's worth. I like public participation, and we can have the report dedicated to more than one person. And I doubt you're gonna get 10 names thrown at you. But if you open it up for, tell us what your suggestions are, then think about hard feelings when the suggestions are not acted upon. For what it's worth, I don't have a good anscer to that.
And I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting that we
No,
go open it up
Okay, yeah.
with.
No,
but
and
I'm just saying.
So in the past too, there have also been organizations or committees, or like a fire department, as altogether as a whole,
Yeah.
that some towns have dedicated their annual town
I think
report
we
to.
put the fire department on one.
They were on 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, even if there's maybe a nice commission or a committee that has done significant work to help the town, whether through applying for grants and, you know, doing
What
work
about
that's
Ela?
beneficial.
What about Alec?
Could be.
Just, you know, for
I mean,
ongoing.
As far as individuals go, I mean, you know, Don Gaddy comes to mind. He was a select board
Yeah.
person or a
Yeah.
select man for 12 years.
So, point of order, are we talking about this now, or did we say we were gonna think about it and it's gonna be an agenda item?
I'm thinking about
We're
it.
thinking about it. And it's gonna be an agenda item. But there's no, I don't know that there's any rule against what we're doing. But it is taking our time, so
And that-
let's move on.
That wraps up my town manager report. Thank you.
Board member reports. I have nothing.
No.
Hazel?
I have one thing, a little bit of early news from the county taxes. The county's tentative budget is up 11-12% so far. And they finally decided, and this is good, really, it's good and it's bad, but they've got some the elevators and some the air conditioning units that are older than 40 or 50 years. They can't even get replacement parts for them, but when they go, they go. And we've decided, let's just take care of them now. We're gonna talk about it at tomorrow night's meeting. It's the specifics, so you could expect, I don't know, 11-12% is a certainty, and maybe up to as much as 20, but it's a matter of pay me now or pay me later for those. They're gonna go soon, and we don't have any choice.
The good news was.
Nobody's
Good
gonna
news
get
was-
on the elevator?
Oh, did I suggest that there was good news too? No, no, there's never good news at the county. Because we've dragged it along underfunding for so many years that it's not funny.
Anything else from any board members? Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second,
Let's vote. Hazel?
Hazel says yes.
Tom's yes.
Mary Ann is yes.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
all right.
Motion carries.
5-zip to adjourn.
Thank you, Hazel.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Safe travels.